Hey everyone, Duke here, and today we're going to be making a complete guide to the Defenses Down Exhibition Challenge on Master in Vow of the Disciple. This guide will go over loadouts, strategies, spawn points, and everything you need to know in order to slay this challenge. If you need a team to complete this challenge, I will be doing helps on my stream in the evenings multiple times this week at twitch.tv/dukeiscool, so come on by. In order to complete this challenge, you are required to have each person kill no more than one knight throughout the entire encounter. And on Master, all of the Scorn Glyph Keepers have become overloads, while the Taken Glyph Keepers are now unstoppables. Additionally, there are a number of Void and Solar Shields to deal with, and the match game modifier is on during Master, so keep this in mind. Super quick so we're all on the same page before we begin, I will refer to the first relic as the Laser Beam, or just Beam, the second relic as the Vogue relic, and the third relic as the Taken relic or Last Wish relic throughout the video. Starting with loadouts, I would recommend everyone run an unstoppable weapon other than your two Taken relic users who will be running overload weapons. If you're completing this challenge during Season of the Risen, we also have access to the Overload Grenade artifact mod, and I would definitely recommend most of the team running this mod with an accompanying Void subclass. You can additionally consider one person running Divinity to go along with their unstoppable weapon of choice, which could be even more necessary in future seasons depending on artifact mods that are available. Weapons-wise, Galahorn is your absolute top-tier option. It covers solar, AoE add clear potential, burst damage, and super importantly for the often hated third room, range. I personally like to pair this with Null Composure for the Void Shields and more AoE add clear due to its Reservoir Burst perk, but there's a lot of other options as well. I have seen things like Parasite, various swords and machine guns, as well as waveframe grenade launchers like Explosive Personality or especially Dead Messenger work well here too. I would just recommend keeping in mind that the shields are void and solar, and crafting your setup to be able to deal with both. Now for Encounter and Guardian setup. The breakdown that I personally use is as follows, and I will go over this as the encounter plays out later as well. Guardian A will be the Room 1 Beam user and Room 3 Vogue user. Guardian B will be the Room 2 Beam user and Room 4 Taken user. Guardian C will be the first half of Room 3 Beam user and Room 4 Vogue user. Guardian D will be the second half of Room 3 Beam user and Room 1 Vogue user. Guardian E will be the first half of Room 4 Beam user, and Guardian F will be the second half of Room 4 Beam user and Room 3 Taken user. I spent some time when this challenge first came out on normal, crafting a system to allow for a couple of things. First, I didn't want to rely on downtime. As many of you may know, you can dunk the Taken and Vogue relics early in a transition room, and have your Beam relic user hold theirs in order to let the 30-second lockout tick down for those two players. However, I felt like this could backfire in runs that aren't as clean, and as someone that helps Guardians with all levels of experience, I know that not all runs are going to be clean. In fact, most won't be. And I'm all about learning and teaching to adjust on the fly, and save runs that most likely would be considered done or unsavable by most people. Second, I did however want to have a few spots that were a bit more low-key, as not everyone entering challenge modes and master mode content has the full breadth of experience that the content was created for, so putting a bit less pressure while still having everyone be an important part of the runs was also important to me. With this setup, you'll want to have your most experienced Guardians as Guardian D and Guardian F, as they will be handling the Taken Blights in Room 3 and the Final Knight in Room 3 respectively, which are by far the two most important jobs. Guardian A and Guardian E can be your two less experienced players as they get access to the two most low-key beam using jobs, and while Guardian A does need to use the Vogue relic in Room 3, the way I set that room up will keep it from being too stressful on them. Now let's go over the encounter itself, room by room. Room 1 is very simple. Note here that the Overload Scorn always spawns on the left side, and the Unstoppable Taken always spawns on the right. Make sure you have someone with each champion type set up on each side, have your first beam user grab the beam to start the encounter, and defeat each Glyph Keeper while the beam user kills the knight that spawns right in front of them. I assume the knowledge of how the normal mechanics work if you're watching a video on how to do the master version of the raid, but just as a one-off brief refresher, remember that anyone with a relic can only see the symbols that the Taken Unstoppables drop throughout this encounter, and anyone without a relic can only see the symbols from the Scorn overloads. A huge tip for the transition rooms. Make sure that you are set up before you dunk the laser beam, unless of course the wipe timer is in the last few seconds, then you just gotta go. As mentioned previously, dunking the beam in these rooms is what immediately will reset and start the next room's timer. So by making sure to check if the next person in line is ready to grab for all currently in play relics immediately, you can essentially save 5 to 10 or maybe even more seconds just with this super easy strategy. For room 2, I like to split the team into 2 groups. I also like to try to have one relic go each direction to allow for quick and easy callouts no matter what Glyphkeeper spawns on what side. If you don't know where the first set of Glyphkeeper spawns are for this room, they're about halfway through the room on each side as shown now. After defeating the Glyphkeepers, quickly determine the common symbol before making your way to the far side of the room to get everyone a cleanse, as well as take out the knight that spawns here for an additional 40 seconds of time on your terminal resonance wipe timer. From here, to the left and right will be your second set of Glyphkeepers. One super useful tip is that the same type of Glyphkeeper will always spawn on the same side. So for example, if the first Overload Scorn spawned on the left side of the room in the first set of Glyphkeepers, it will also spawn on the left side of the room in the second set. This is actually true of every single room in this encounter, which can be extremely helpful and will be something that we use to our advantage in the third and fourth rooms to make the setup much easier and doable. Note that after killing the second set of Glyphkeepers in this room, do not kill the second knight that spawns. Just ignore him. There's a total of 7 knights in this encounter, and only 6 different guardians, obviously, to kill knights for this challenge. So this challenge actually requires you that you do skip a knight somewhere, and this is by far the easiest one to skip. The knight in the very first room would be the easiest to skip, but the symbols on the door actually won't even show up until you kill him, so you can't skip that one. Remember to again get everyone set up in the next transition room, and prepare for room 3. This room is where things break down for a lot of teams, and I'm going to go over every tip I possibly can to make it a bit easier for you. When you first come into this room, there's going to be a taken blight that your taken relic holder needs to remove either near the left or the right stairs. Importantly, the second taken blight will always be opposite of the first. So if the first taken blight is near the left stairs, cleanse it, and then have you and your taken partner, basically whoever is going to use it in room 4, go right, while the other 4 guardians go left. Or if the first blight is near the right staircase, again cleanse it, and then go left with your partner, while the other 4 guardians go right. As I mentioned in the beginning, you will want to have both taken relic members on overload, and this is because whatever side the second taken blight spawns on will always have the overload scorn spawn. And you will want the rest of the team to be on unstoppable, because the group of 4 side will always have the unstoppable here. And not only that, but 2 of the 4 of those people are actually going to be holding relics here, and therefore cannot stun it. The Taken Relic is way more useful than the Beam and Vogue Relic combined, in terms of kill potential, and I'll even go over a build for it at the end of this video, so the 2-4 split here is actually a lot more even than it seems. Add on to the fact that your Taken Relic users should be some of your more experienced players, and I found this to be easily the best split to start off in this room. Importantly, after the group of 2 finishes killing their overload, make the callout for that side and immediately make your way across to the group of 4. The Vogue Relic should be waiting for both members to come over for the cleanse here, and then you can all push up the same staircase together as a group of 6. Of course, don't forget for the Beam Holder to kill the knight that spawns on the middle floating platforms during this time as well. The benefit to this is that the third Taken Blight in the room will always be right in front of you at this point for the Taken Relic to cleanse, and all 6 of you being together means that you can easily take on the overload that will be here and all the enemies as a group. No matter what side you're coming up from, your goal should be to kill everything in your path while trying to push out to the big platform in the middle near where the next door is, and right next to an enemy spawn door. From here, the 4th Taken Blight will either be straight in front of you in the far corner if you came up the right side, or around the corner to the left if you came up the left side. Also note that once you get here, I'd recommend the laser beam holder drop the beam and just leave it there. For the challenge, they will not be able to kill another knight. It will be Guardian's D job from the earlier example to kill this final knight in this room. However, bringing it up here and leaving it on the ground allows for Guardian D to be able to use their weapons until the final second, which is extremely helpful as the beam is just so awful at killing anything on Master, it actually doesn't even count as solar for breaking shields. Either way, there's an extremely important mechanic that you need to follow for this part. If you go to cleanse the final blight before the Glyphkeeper spawns, the blight will respawn, causing it to protect everything around it and potentially eat up enough time to cause a wipe. These final Glyphkeepers can sometimes take additional time to spawn, and that is because you haven't killed the enemies near it. This is the spot that having at least one person with Gjallarhorn is paramount in my opinion. Going over both possible scenarios, if you came up the right side staircase, looking down underneath where the final blight is will be a bunch of enemies. Throw a couple Gallahorn shots down there to kill them and spawn the final Glyph Keeper. If you came up the left side staircase, around the corner to the right, instead of the left where that little Taken Blight is going to be hiding, will be a bunch of enemies. Throw a few Gallahorns into this pile of enemies to spawn your Glyph Keeper. No matter the rotation, this final Blight's Glyph Keeper will always be the Overload again, so I'd recommend the same pair of two, the two people on the Taken Relic team, to be the two that actually push out and kill these enemies and then focus this Glyph Keeper, while the other four focus on the close side where the unstoppable Taken Glyph Keeper will be spawning. As these two Glyph Keepers are being dealt with, make sure that the next beam user, again Guardian D in this example, has picked up the beam and is ready to kill the knight that spawns down below. It will spawn in the same spot as the first one on the floating pedestals. Many times this part will be very tight on time, so it really is crucial that you have the beam and are ready to kill the knight right as it's spawning to give you that additional 40 seconds to open the door and set up for the final room. As long as the Glyph Keepers are dead, the knight will spawn. You can worry about the symbols and making sure you get that last call out after this knight is down. For the fourth room, a lot of it's going to be similar concepts as the third. This room is actually quite a bit less tight timing-wise, but makes up for it with the fact that there is jumping throughout. Just like the last room, the first Taken Blight will be pretty much right when you come in the door. And just like last room, I recommend the Taken Relic cleanse the first Blight, and then go to the opposite side with their partner, while the other four go the direction of the first Blight. Just like in room 3, the two-person Taken Relic team will always have the Overload spawn with this setup, while the group of 4 will always have the Unstoppable in their respective alcoves. For grouping up afterwards, I usually have everyone group up on the middle floating platform to get a cleanse, and then push forward as a team. The knight will spawn on the platform right in front of you from here, so have Guardian E kill this knight. At this point, I'd recommend getting everyone to the far side of the room near the door, killing everything you can along the way, with the Taken Blight person, of course, cleansing the remaining Blights. The one thing I highly do not recommend, and I see way too often, is standing on the floating platform where the knight spawns in this room. By standing here, you are not only getting pelted from all sides, but you also have very limited cover, and run the risk of falling off the map in a panic. By getting to the door and turning around to face where you came from, everything to kill will be in front of you. Both Glyph Keepers are in range of killing, and it completely removes the risk of people falling off the map because they're jumping around trying not to get pelted by all the ads. Have Guardian E drop the beam near the door here for the same reasons as room 3. Kill the remaining two Glyph Keepers, and then have Guardian F pick up the beam to kill the final knight, and give you plenty of time to get the final symbol call out, shoot the symbols on the doors, and then dunk your 3 relics to finish the encounter. One quick note is that if you do for some reason lose a relic off the map at any point in rooms 3 or 4, it will respawn in the previous transition room, and is still a savable run in a lot of scenarios if you're quick about going back to get it. You will need all 3 relics with you in order to progress or finish the encounter though, so don't think that you can just ignore it if you are somehow able to make it through the room without going back for it. That's all for the encounter tips, but as promised, here's a build and setup to make running the Taken Relic insanely strong and turn you into an unkillable Slayer that is arguably even stronger than using weapons in some cases. First, you will want to be on a Void subclass with the Echo of Starvation Fragment, which grants Devour on Orb of Power pickup. Next, you will want to run Void Siphon on your helmet, which allows for rapid Void weapon kills to create Orbs of Power. This will allow you to make your own orbs as the relic is considered a weapon for this mod, which when picked up will grant you Devour and allow you to heal yourself constantly on kills. We can do more though. Add elemental armaments in order to create Void Elemental Wells from these same final blows, and combine this with Volatile Flow in order to get Volatile Rounds on your Taken Relic, and become an absolute Slayer. You can also throw in Well of Tenacity to this build to get even more survivability when picking up the Void Wells that you will create. This build will still be extremely beneficial in the rooms where you don't have the relic as well, as your teammates can still create orbs which give you Devour, you should be running a Void weapon which will allow you to make orbs and wells, and Volatile Flow will make that Void weapon have even more ad clear potential, with Well of Tenacity making you more survivable throughout. And you can even throw in an Elemental Ordnance and or Reaping Wellmaker to increase the strength of your total build even further. I hope this intricate and detailed guide to the Master Exhibition Encounter and Challenge was helpful. Don't forget to come on by the stream if you're looking for help or have any other questions, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.